Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you for tuning in to Cedarly Radio, your guide to films playing at the Art House for the week of June 7th to June 13th. My name is Aaron Spears.
And I'm Dave Huffman. On this week's episode, we'll be discussing The Souvenier, The Tomorrow Man, and All Is True.
We'll also be discussing the Pride series going on at the Capitol Theater, representation in current films as well, and our Cedarly 3 picks for great Shakespeare adaptations. All right, we always like to start off the show with the last scene first, because we're backwards that way. So, Dave, what is the last film you've seen?
Well, the last film I saw was actually the first film in our Pride film series that we do over at the Capitol Theater every June, and it's a newly remastered version of the 1984 documentary Before Stonewall.
Excellent.
In honor of the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots. This is a documentary that looks at gay culture before the Stonewall riots, before the start of the modern gay rights movement. So it's a lot about, how gays and lesbians connected, but whenever there was not a safe space for them. It talks a lot about the cultural importance of World War II as far as building gay communities, which was news
I always
to me.
forget about that.
That was really interesting. Yeah, it was very interesting. So it was just a really good doc, and I was glad to see we had actually our largest crowd ever for one of the Pride films, and I hope people continue to come out. And if you want to get more information on what other films are playing in the series, just go to the Cleveland Cinema's website and click under the What's New tab.
I have nostalgia for that doc because it was the first thing I programmed as cinema chair on my college campus. Quite a good turnout for it. Well, we partnered up with whatever the LGBTQ club was at the time,
right?
And if you get groups together, they spread the word.
They do, and I bribed people with vegan baked goods in my alter ego as Bitchy Vegan Homo, so we had a delicious spread of treats, so people enjoyed that as well.
That always helps.
I know. I was joking. I said, so this is what I have to do to get the biggest crowd, is I have to bribe everybody with cupcakes.
Yep.
I'm not above that. It's okay. What was the last thing you saw, Aaron?
I actually went back a second time for Booksmart, which I
awesome.
was really enjoying. But I do feel like it's a little bit unfair to be labeled the female Superbad, because I think it's better than Superbad.
It is a much better movie than Superbad.
I'm not gonna go back and revisit Superbad. I just never felt that compulsion. But I do with this one. Like it's I can't wait to watch it again. It's something you could just pop in and watch. Like it has weight to it, but it's not a weighty, thematic movie. I was cry laughing several times, even on the second time watching it. And I do want to nominate it for one of my all-time favorite drug scenes. I think it's definitely up there. I don't have the list in front of me, but did they show that in the trailer?
Yeah, they show a little quick shot of the animated dolls.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's all I'll say about that. It's got an amazing sequence that it's not only funny, but it's also very kind of body image, socially relevant as well, but not in a heavy-handed way. It's in an absolutely hilarious way.
Yeah,
and then really inappropriate way, if depending on your sense of humor. Yeah,
I got to see it this last weekend as well. It was the top of my list of new movies out that I hadn't seen yet, so I was excited to get to see it.
I'm a little saddened that some of the, I will say, terrible critics that I follow just to see what they're into, like the National Review style critics and culture critics like that, are really picking this movie apart, and it's getting labeled a lot from a negative press standpoint as like this lesbian movie. And I was like, part of the thing I liked about the movie was that one of the characters, she's out, it's fine, it's not a big deal, and she's just going on with her life because it's just part of her life.
It's just part of it.
Yeah.
That's 100% true. And that's what I think we talked about this before. I had seen the movie. I said I was anxious to see a teen gay character where the whole plot of the movie isn't about them struggling with it and coming out in that process.
Absolutely.
This is just like, hey, this is me and this is my life, and and the wonderful weirdness of Lisa Kudrow and Will Forte as her parents is just so good.
It is.
Yeah, it's a really great movie. I'm glad to see people are coming out to see it at the Cedarly and our other theaters as well.
Speaking of which, you said I did not catch Rocket Man.
Yes, Rocket Man was definitely, if there's some buzz from this weekend at the Cedarly, it's people love Rocket Man. I think people are enjoying the fact that it's very different from Bohemian Rhapsody in that it's a musical. It's a kind of big production number kind of musical, and it's just really entertaining and people are loving it. So I think that'll be playing for quite a while.
All right, and we'll be right back because we have some new films to get to opening this weekend. All right, so we have 3 new films opening up this week. That actually seems like a light week comparatively.
Yeah, we usually do a little more heavy lifting.
I know. The first one we want to discuss is The Souvenier, written and directed by Joanna Hogg. A young film student in the early 80s becomes romantically involved with a complicated and untrustworthy man.
This is a movie, I haven't gotten to see it yet, but this is the movie that I've been most excited to see actually since the Sundance Film Festival. It's absolutely the movie I'm most looking forward to.
I'd say
basically anytime Tilda Swinton's in a movie, I want to see
You're there. Not to interrupt you, but it was on your list, too, for one of your most anticipated of 2019. We did a few, actually probably a month or two ago at this point.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. So I'm very excited to see it.
It got a ton of critical buzz coming off the jury prize? No, the World Cinema Jury Prize at Sundance this last year, which we won't do the whole list right now, but if you look on Wikipedia, it's like kind of a who's who of like, quality world cinema. And there's a sequel in the works for this movie. I just saw on the IMDb trivia section when I was perusing there. I was like, wait, no, it's on Joanna Hogg's IMDb profile. Like, it's in production.
Cool.
I was like,
all right.
I love the little indie movies that it's not even out yet for us to go like, yes, please more. But that get sequels, which is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. And the trailer, I love the trailer because it makes you want to see the movie without giving you the entire plot of the movie. So it's everything I know about it. I'm just excited to see.
I'm glad you said that because it's one of those movies that was on my list to watch. And I was like, if I can avoid this trailer, which is kind of hard to do, I wanted to just go in totally cold. And I've only caught maybe like 15 seconds of this trailer. So those are my favorite trailers, though. Enticing, but not spoiling.
Well, the next film that we're going to be opening up is The Tomorrow Man by writer-director Noble Jones, and this is a film that played at the International Film Festival here in Cleveland back in April, and it's about Ed Hemsler, who spends his life preparing for a disaster that may never come. Ronnie Meisner spends her life shopping for things she may never use. In a small town somewhere in America, these two people will try to find love while trying not to get lost in each other's stuff.
I was looking up and discussing recently the difference in Blythe Danner's career. So sorry, this is Blythe Danner and John Lithgow playing the couple you were just talking about. And it was we were paralleling it with Diane Keaton's acting choice, just to be a little bit of a jerk about it, because like I do adore Diane Keaton, just not in the last decade or so. And Blythe Danner though has had like this resurgence, especially at the art house in films in the last like 5 or 6 years that I think kicked off with "I'll See You in My Dreams." If I remember correctly, which also played at the festival.
Yeah,
I think.
I couldn't remember the name of the title, but that was that the opening night film a few years ago?
I think it was,
right?
But she's playing, age-appropriate roles, and this seems like another one, and I'm looking forward to this one because the idea of just John Lithgow as a kind of subdued prepper is fascinating to me, and also just looks like a pretty interesting kind of take on sort of the older folks' romantic comedy or romantic drama.
Yeah, and John Lithgow is talking about like a resurgence. I feel like he is being cast in just a ton of stuff lately. He's been popping up in a lot of things.
This, as usual, like I always go to the director to see, okay, so Noble Jones, writer-director, that's a pretty powerful creative force on any project. He's also cinematographer, so this is somebody coming to it from a photographer's eye as well. So I'd be curious to see, because it doesn't really the premise in the trailer. You're not like, oh, this is a cinematographer's dream project, but like he clearly has something he wants to do here. So I'm really interested to see what that's gonna be like. I assume some claustrophobia if you got a guy prepping for disasters.
Right. Yes. He's getting ready for the end of the world or whatever might be happening.
The last one we are opening is All Is True, directed by Kenneth Branagh. This is a look at what else? It's the final days of the life of renowned playwright William Shakespeare, played by none other than Kenneth Branagh. I feel like this is like full circle now for him. He's got, where did I look this up here? He has 7 of his 22 film directing credits are Shakespeare adaptations for film. And now he's just playing Shakespeare, which in my head was like... I would have assumed he'd already done this at some point in his career, but now he's the right age for it, so I guess it's time.
He may do it, but it just may be him walking around his house pretending he's Shakespeare.
Oh, he's definitely done that. He's definitely done that.
and not even prepping for this role. I think he just did it.
Yeah, it's just 100%. In his blood at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to note, they didn't really play it up too much in the trailer, but it stars 2 sirs and 1 dame.
Oh.
You've got Sir Kenneth Branagh, you got Sir Ian McKellen, and you've also got, I almost said Sir, apologies, Dame Judi Dench as well.
2 sirs and a dame is 100% going to be a movie that we play someday at the Cedar.
Oh, for sure.
That just sounds like a title for a movie. Yeah, I'm gonna go on and register the title right now with the Writers Guild so no one can steal it.
Well, and we'll be right back with our Cedarly 3 picks for this week, inspired by All Is True. So each week we like to take inspiration from one of the new films opening, and we suggest 3 films to broaden your cinematic world. This week we took inspiration from Kenneth Branagh's All Is True. Kind of skewed it a little bit because this isn't specifically... There's not that many movies that are only about Shakespeare himself.
Right.
So we went with Shakespeare Adaptations, which Kenneth Branagh is obviously known for. Did any Kenneth Branagh films make your list?
I didn't, even though I love Henry V, and I have such a vivid memory of seeing Henry V in the theater.
Yeah.
Whenever that was out, I think I was still in high school because this was what a nerd I was. I came back from the academic decathlon in Pennsylvania, and
when
after
Henry
winning,
V.
and after winning like a gold medal in one category and a bronze in something else, my parents, as a reward, they asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I want to go see Henry V down because it was playing like downtown at the Art House Theater in Pittsburgh at the time.
Yeah.
So I think my mom just took me, but yeah, we went down there and had an exciting evening at seeing Henry V. Yeah.
That's funny. His big budget version of Hamlet that came out. It was like everybody from my theater department in high school. It was like a group trip up to the Centrum Theater at the time to see it because I think they were showing it on 70 millimeter. Like, well, that's where we got to go with the intermission and everything. But sadly, that did not make my list. I actually ended up doing I did a secret Shakespeare list. Movies that are inspired by Shakespeare but aren't necessarily thought of as like, oh yeah, that's Shakespeare.
That's an obvious adaptation.
Yeah,
I gotcha. All right, well, what's the first one on your list?
Well, the first one that came to mind was 10 Things I Hate About You, because Taming of the Shrew is a classic one. It's the first one of his that I remember reading and thinking, this is funny, and really grabbing me. And then I saw it, because I was age appropriate at the time for it, and it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Heath Ledger, Julia Stiles. It's kind of a who's who.
It is.
Not necessarily at the time.
No, but they all became legends, yeah.
And, it was hilarious. And then I remember like halfway through, a buddy was like, this is Taming of the Shrew. I was like, you're right. It is. It's Secret Shakespeare. So I had to start off with that one.
I gotcha. And by the way, I want to take back, I believe I said legends, but Julia Stiles is not a legend. But, Heath Ledger is.
Oh, sure, yeah. The ones that have passed on are now legends. We'll see how the other ones go.
Well, the next one on my list, or the first one on my list, is kind of along that vein.
Okay.
And that is Scotland, PA.
Oh, yes.
If you ever saw Scotland, PA. I
thought about this
which is a strange adaptation of Macbeth set in a fast food restaurant in Pennsylvania. And it's about a guy named, I think Joe Macbeth or something like that.
It is. It's pretty on the nose, Macbeth, but it's good.
And, and his scheming wife, behind him to drive him to success. So it's a really interesting, complete, we're going to take just the nuggets of kind of character developments and key plot points of the play and just take it into a completely different direction, put it in a whole different world, turn it into a comedy, with James LaGrosse is in it, and I'm blanking on her name, Tierney.
Myra Turney?
Myra Turney, yeah. So but I just really enjoyed it, and I was looking it up today, and I was surprised. I was like, what did that director ever do? I think his name is Billy Morissette. It's the only film he ever directed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I remember it being like the buzzy movie out of Sundance or something. I do, that year. And but then it didn't really click, I don't think, very much with audiences, and that's probably what happened. It didn't make enough money, and then no one gave him more money to make another movie.
It happens. Or it just had that one movie and was like, now it's time to go sell cars.
Yeah. I think he's an actor. I think he mostly acts, but that was his one thing that he wrote, that he directed. So what's the next one on your list, Aaron?
Actually, that's a good segue, because I went for one that, is not known at all. I mean, you really have to kind of dig for it, and it's there, but it's took Shakespeare and couldn't have put it in a weirder, otherworldly environment. I went with Forbidden Planet from 1956.
Oh, awesome! Yes,
the science fiction classic, but it's based on the Tempest.
Yes.
Inspired, loosely inspired.
By,
yes. It's loosely there. But it has hits the all the right kind of plot points, more or less. I guess character wise and beat wise. But then I haven't seen it in quite a while, but rewatching the trailer was just one of those classics where I want to watch this again right now.
Right.
It's really good. And I found out in doing some research here, it was shot on using some of the same sets as The Wizard of Oz. Because you don't think, I think about them as time periods, but no, that's just when studios had...
They just had those things sitting in the warehouses, and they would bring it back.
Yeah, it wasn't literally the same set, but it's some of the same props and
elements of
stuff.
it. My favorite thing about that is Anti-Mame, as you know, is one of my favorite movies, and the staircase in Anti-Mame is used in 30 movies. So if you Google that, you can look at all the different movies that use that staircase in them.
What if that staircase has its own IMDb page at this point?
Yeah, they used to repurpose them. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, the next one on my list, again, keeping with this kind of trend of very out of the box kind of adaptations, it's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's Akira Kurosawa's Ran, although for years I said Ron, but I think it is just Ran.
I said Ron for a long time too.
And but from 1985, it's an adaptation of King Lear.
Wait, that's from 85?
85.
Wow.
Yeah,
no, I just picture classic Kurosawa. I don't place that in my lifetime.
I mean, but he also did, Throne of Blood and all these other films that were adapted from Shakespeare as well. And it's I think Throne of Blood is Macbeth, as I recall. And this, but Branagh has just some of the most amazing, beautiful, like visual battle scenes.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I saw it. I think the Cinematheque played it a few years ago on the big screen. It was just great to see it again on the big screen. The colors of it they're amazing.
Yeah, they
it's
really
just
pop.
A beautiful, awesome movie. So if you've never had a chance to see that, by all means, check it out.
So my last pick was Throne of Blood.
Oh, well, there you go.
Obviously,
well, that's a perfect segue.
It is. It is Macbeth. That's why I was like trying not to chime in, but Macbeth, 1957, and I was going through. I ended up just going through Kurosawa's filmography because I didn't realize when I thought of Throne of Blood right away. I was like, oh, that's got to be my number one because it's Kurosawa. It hits all the film geek buttons as well. It's not some throwaway teen comedy from the 90s. And so I was like, okay, I do Throne of Blood. And looking through, I was like, man, he really went back to that Shakespearean well several times for good reason, though. Good reason.
Yeah. No, I mean, the plots of so many of Shakespeare's plays, there's a reason why they're still produced and people still respond to them.
Oh, for sure,
because they're just kind of perfectly structured plots and great characters.
Right.
And, well, the last one on my list is, I guess, the only one that we've talked about that's a little bit more, well, it's not a straightforward adaptation, but it has the Shakespearean dialogue to it, and that's Julie Taymor's adaptation of Titus.
Oh, I do like that one.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, Julie Taymor, I think, can be... she's not always on in my book, but that movie is just amazing. And I think she adapted the screenplay as well. Although, like I said, I think the dialogue is all just Shakespearean dialogue. I don't think she changed any of the dialogue, but it's just got Anthony Hopkins in an amazing performance. It's really cool. And I remember seeing that movie at the Cedar Lee years before I worked for Cleveland Cinemas. And I saw it in Auditorium number 3, which I will say is the much maligned one of our screening rooms.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I always cite because that didn't hurt that movie at all.
Right.
It's a great, I mean, I don't understand. I know people listening to this will probably get people tweeting us about this that just don't like watching movies in the screening room. And to me, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Yes, it shouldn't be like Lawrence of Arabia in there, but most movies that we play at the Cedar Lee, they're not affected by that. And I think the size of the screen, depending where you sit, it's all about perspective anyway.
That's true, yeah.
So if you sit a little closer, the screen has the same effect. So
that's what I always tell people. If it's too tiny, just sit closer.
Yeah, it's all, so it's better than, some of the other...
it's better than your phone.
It is better than your phone. But it's an amazing movie. And I actually think I saw it twice. I went back and saw it again twice in the theater.
Well, so much visually going on in that movie as well.
Yeah.
That it really would reward repeat viewing as well. I mean, coming from the stage, she knows how to kind of really stage a scene, but also the depth of focus in some of those scenes too is pretty spectacular.
I have the Blu-ray of it, and I think I bought the Blu-ray. It was a limited run of it, and I've never watched it. It's just one of those ones I want to have this.
Right.
But now I'm gonna watch it.
When that itch finally presents itself, you'll be like, tonight's the night.
Tonight's the night. I'm gonna watch 2 hours and 45 minutes of Shakespearean adaptation.
All right, well, next week's episode, we'll be discussing Say My Name, Echo in the Canyon, Dead Don't Die, and Late Night. So next week's Cedar Lee 3 topic is inspired by Late Night, a new comedy about late-night talk show hosts. So we are going to be taking a look at films about show business. Submit your picks at CedarLee3 using the hashtag CedarLee3, the number 3. But before we sign off for this week, we do want to let you know about a few special events we have coming up. First off is our annual monthly showing of The Room, the Melt Bar and Grill.
I like that you said annual monthly show.
Annual monthly showing. Well, it's a terrible intro for a terrible movie. What are you going to do? It's the Melt Bar and Grill late shift monthly screening of The Room, Saturday, June 8th at 10 p.m.
And this week we also have another showing of the Bolshoi Ballet's productions of the Carmen Suite and Petrushka. That's going to be Sunday, June 9th at 11 a.m. This is 2 one-act ballets, including Carmen by Cuban choreography Alberto Alonso and Petrushka, a new creation for the Bolshoi by contemporary choreographer Edward Klug.
We also have, speaking of encore shows, we have the anniversary, I guess, not really an encore, but it's the National Theater celebrating its 10th anniversary in cinemas. This week we have The Audience starring Helen Mirren. It is on Sunday, June 10th at 11 a.m.
And we have a new anime film coming up, Made in Abyss, Wandering Twilight. This is the second part in the Made in Abyss series. We just showed the first film a few months ago. This is going to be playing Monday, June 10th at 7:30 p.m. in the subtitled version, and then Wednesday, June 12th at 7:30 in the dubbed in English version.
We also have coming up Deconstructing the Beatles. I don't remember how many films into this series that Scott Friedman is in Deconstructing the Beatles, but it's several, and they always get a really interesting turnout. He's labeled as a Beatleologist, but really he's a musicologist. Like he deconstructs these Beatles albums down to like, the lyrics, like how the music and the melodies are composed. Like if you really want to geek out about the Beatles, this is the way to do it. This will be Abbey Road, just side one. That's how important Abbey Road is. This is just side one of Abbey Road, Thursday, June 13th at 7 p.m. As always, thank you for tuning in to Cedarly Radio and lending us your ears this week. All the music heard on the show is original music written by Grant Heineman and performed by the New Heights Jazz Ensemble, used with their permission, of course. Visit clevelandcinemas.com for correct showtimes and to purchase advance tickets. Also, there are links in the show notes. You can use those if you'd like as well. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at Cedarly Theater, spelled with an R-E at the end because we're fancy like that. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you find your podcast, and while you're subscribing, leave us a rating and review, or better yet, tell a fellow film geek about the show. We'll see you at the movies.